Stampers and friends, it's Christine from Christine's Stamping Spot back with you for this week's Mystery Monday video. Today we're going to take a look at this Tulip Fields bundle. It is a stamp set and some really amazing dies with windmills and blades and trees and a cute bicycle, and also a stamp set in that bundle. This is actually from our current mini, which is still with us until the end of June, so June 30th. And you can find the windmill dies and the stamp set on page 17. So it doesn't have a greeting in it, but it is also sort of meant to coordinate with the flowering tulip stamp set, which is on the opposite page on page 16. So you can kind of interchange some of the pieces and greetings. So for today, we're actually going to focus on these dies a little bit and make a project. And this is the card that we are going to make. It was inspired by a demonstrator called Shirley Gentry. I don't know if she's from the US or from Canada. I'm not 100% certain, but I really kind of like this idea. And I've had this stamp set for a bit and I just haven't gotten around to using it. And I don't know why. It makes for some really, really cute cards. So I'm going to show you how we're going to put this together. So for the base, we're going to use a piece of crumb cake, which is cut at 11 by 4 1/4. And I will post all of these measurements on the Facebook post at Christine's Stamping Spot. So you don't have to write anything down just yet. Okay, so crumb cake. And then we're going to layer a piece of evening evergreen on top of that. Add this on top here. I think crumb cake is just such a great base color. You know, you can pair it with so many different things and it always looks really great. Okay, excuse me, frog in my throat this morning. So for this background here, some of you might have guessed where that is from, and it is actually from the New Horizons designer paper. So this paper makes fabulous, fabulous backgrounds, and there are so many to choose from. So you just have to decide, you know, what you would really like your background to look like. There are many, many different choices depending what your sky and everything is going to look like. So I chose the one that Shirley did, which is this. And I cut this at 5 by 3 3/4. So I cut it off at the bottom and left most of the sky. But if you wanted to cut a bit from both sides, you could do that, or just from the sky. Just decide what, you know, background you would like to have on your card. And the background here is pink, but I'm not going to use that. I like this a lot better. Okay, so maybe what I will do first before I add all the windmill pieces is I'm going to stamp a greeting up here, because once these blades are on, which I discovered with my sample, it can be a little bit tricky trying to get your stamp in there depending how big your greeting is. So the greeting I actually took from the art gallery set. I just used the happy birthday, but there are also some other really great greetings in this stamp set that you might be interested in. So we are going to stamp in Evening Evergreen, just to bring out some of that green. And I'll stamp it towards the top, maybe about here. Happy birthday. All right. And I love, love, love tulips. They are probably my favorite spring flower for sure. I did have some planted in my garden the last couple of years, but we had a resident rabbit who always seemed to dig up my bulbs, or when the tulips started coming up in the spring, they would sort of, you know, grab the green leaves popping up and they would pull those out. So I have to definitely try to put some more in this fall, but Not quite sure if the rabbit's going to get to them again. Okay, so there's our happy birthday. So now we're going to attach our windmill. So using the dies, so I'll show you again which ones I've used. So this is the die I used for the background. So I cut that out of crumb cake. And then the overlay was this detailed piece, and this I cut out of early espresso, and I did attach an adhesive sheet to the back just because it is so detailed, and it just makes it much easier to attach to the base piece. And then of course for the blades I use this die out of basic white, so that was just a standalone one. I wanted to add the bicycle, but I thought maybe that's just a little bit too much, but I love this bicycle. I think I'm gonna try to come up with another design incorporating that. And then you have some really cute fence pieces if you wanted to like sort of make a bit of a fence along the background. You can do that, or you can even stamp you know, the windmill smaller and use this die to cut it out as well. So there's different options as far as size goes, because I know these blades are really large. Okay, so I did pre-cut those pieces here, so the crumb cake and the espresso, and I did try to pull out some of those little bits that that didn't come out right away. And this, I'm just going to use my take your pick to pull this off. And if there are some little bits still in there, you can just easily grab them with your fingers or your take your pick tool. And look at how beautiful and detailed that is. I just love these detailed dies. So then with the adhesive sheet, it makes it really easy to just place it on the base. Let me just try to line this up here. And it should just sort of fall into place like so, and then just give it a little rub with your finger to attach all of that adhesive, and there is your windmill. Is that not just so cool? I just really love that. Okay, so then we're going to attach our blade. So I did cut that out of the white, and then we're going to use a brad. And so I'm going to poke a little hole through this hole here in our image, okay, just to fit a brad. Okay, and these brads are from the round and square brads. These carried over into our new catalog, so they come in black and white, and you get two different sizes. So you get the square, this, which is I'm gonna use this one on this card, and so you get this in black and white, this size, and then we have the smaller ones, which I used on my sample here. So you get these in black and white as well. Excuse me, and this is the smaller size there. So I think there are probably about 200 pieces in here, so these should last you a long time. Okay, so let us put our blade, line that up with our hole there that we punched. And I'm going to fit this black one through and just open it at the back. And you can kind of fold these to the side a little bit so they don't show. And then it will spin if it's not too tight. So let me see. I think that might work. Well, it's a little bit too tight, I think. So let me just loosen this up. Because that's part of the fun of it too, right? It kind of becomes an interactive card, and everybody loves interactive cards. So depending, now maybe it's, oh, okay, well it seems to spin that way. Oh yeah, here we go. It just needs to be loosened up a little bit. So have some fun playing with that. I think that's just so fun. Okay, so we're gonna kind of tuck these, bend these down, and I'm gonna put a dimensional on here. So hopefully this will still spin. Might have made it a little bit tight, but it should loosen up as you go. Okay, so let's put Big one or a little one? Let's try a big one just to kind of hold this in place here. And that should still spin. If you need to loosen it up, by all means, go ahead and do that. Mine is a little bit tight. This one spins really well. I use the smaller brad for that, so you can certainly play around with that and switch those out if you don't want to use the large one, because you don't want these to break off, right? That would not be fun. So I might have to loosen these a little, but it'll be okay for today. All right, so let's add a couple of more dimensionals here to our windmill, and then we will put it on our base. Okay, so let's see. I'll take that off. Now, I think we will put this a little more now here on the greenery. But you want to make sure that those blades aren't going to go above or out on the side. So I think this might work. I'm just going to loosely place it down because we're going to add these tulips here in the front. Now this is from our designer paper, the Flowering Fields designer paper, which is also only available until the end of June. And I'm just going to quickly go through these patterns because they are stunning. So this is just a basic polka dot, and we've got sort of some sky images. And then look at these tulips. Are those just not beautiful? And you've got more of a green blue, and then you've got more in the purples and raspberry here with the background. And then this layering piece was actually the one that we're going to use on our card. So I'll show you how we use that in the green. And then you've got some beautiful oranges and mango colors. And this, I have to say, is probably my favorite. I love this piece of paper. So, so pretty. And the clouds on the back. So again, that is only available until the end of the month. Okay, so what I did was I pre-cut this. So I cut a piece that is the same width as our sky here, so 3 3/4, and then I cut a piece here. So I cut this at 3 3/4. Now what you can do before you cut the height of it, I cut it at 1 1/4. You can decide, what colors of tulips do I want on my card? And then you can cut your paper accordingly. So maybe you want the orange and a bit of the pink and the darker pink, or you might want just the yellow and the orange, or you might want, the purples and the yellows, or, you can just sort of decide what color of tulips you would like and then cut it at 1 1/4. So then, just to add to it, and this is what Shirley also did, and I love this, was I just fussy cut around the top. And it really did not take very long. You don't have to be too exact. And then this is the piece that we are going to put down here. So this can also determine where you want your windmill to sit. So I might move mine up just a bit if I can get it down off of here. I lost a dimensional. Okay. So I'm just going to move it up a tad. I don't want too much of the sky to show. And if some of the windmill is blocked, I'm okay with that. Now, if you wanted it to this, well, you can't really put it too much to the side because the blade goes off. So you're pretty much committed to putting it more in the center. So I will just put it here and we'll see what happens. Now, it may block a bit of the door or it may not. It doesn't really matter too much, but you could also snip a little bit more off the bottom if you didn't want, all of that covered. But I don't mind the bottom of this windmill to be covered a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to pop this up with some dimensionals as well. And maybe I'll use the minis here. You could use just the regular ones, but I'm just going to see how I like these minis on here. And you don't need a ton, right? You just need some to to anchor it down. Okay, so let's just add a few of these randomly. Oops, move this down a bit. And I love dimensionals, so sometimes I think I use more than I need to, but that's okay. I'd rather make sure it's not going to come off. Okay, so I did put quite a few on there after all, but that's okay. All right, so let us put this piece on. And then our card is almost done. So we're going to line this bottom edge with the bottom edge of this other Horizon DSP, just to cover that as best you can. And then our tulips are kind of almost popping off the page. They've become a little bit of a 3D there. Now my windmill is still not spinning too great, but that's okay. It doesn't have to. So you might want to try just the small brad, and that way it will definitely spin. I wanted to see how this larger one worked. So, but that's okay too. It can just be sort of stationary. All right, so the last thing we're going to add are a few of our brushed brass butterflies. And I'm just going to use the little ones. So I'm going to kind of pop them on top of the tulips. Wherever you would like. I think I'll add about 3. And they will all be going in different directions. Sort of like so. And there you go. That is your Tulip Fields birthday card. So you can give that to somebody very special. All right, so I do have a new host code for June. We are into June already. So it is SC4RNGR4, and you're welcome to use that on my website at christineledwig.stampinup.net. And please follow me on Facebook, Pinterest, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, all known as Christine Stamping Spot. There's always some new videos showing up and lots of different posts on Facebook as well. So you're welcome to like my page as well. So I hope you enjoyed that project and have a wonderful week. We will see you next time. Bye for now.